Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
You're probably going to want to get this on camera. I don't want to do it. Dude, I don't want to do it.
Okay, are you ready?
Okay,
Come on, do it.
Give me a countdown.
I will, I promise. Ah!
Are we rolling? I'm going to get the gum. Pull it right out of his mouth.
Wait, why are we running? I got this one. Just wait. She's just looking at it.
This is my theory, though, is that it's like a muscle.
Watch this. Dude, holy crap!
That's why I think we're getting stronger, you know?
She thinks it's stolen.
Yes, it was the black guy this time.
Because we're working it out.
There's nothing stopping us.
Where are you going?
I'm sorry.
That's just some redneck.
What the hell is this guy's problem?
Stop, are you crazy? Why did you do that? What the hell is wrong with...
Was it an accident, Andrew? Andrew? I'm worried about Andrew.
Listen to me. We can't screw around with this. It's too dangerous. Andrew, it's not a game. Andrew! Stop this right now!
Who's making that sound? What is that? All right, dude, we're going inside.
Steve, wait up. Matt, look at this.
Holy...
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to our humble San Diego podcast. I am the Swan, and alongside me is Ryan Jimenez, and together we are the Drop the Mic podcast. This is episode 303, Becoming the Villain, where we aim to explore 2012's found footage sci-fi thriller Chronicle. But before we jump into the main focus, let's get warmed up with a few of our intro segments. So Ryan, what's up? How are you, man?
I'm good. How's it been? Feels like I know it's been only a couple of weeks, but every time I'm away from this for a while, I kind of start going crazy. So I'm glad to be back.
I know, right? We had some technical difficulties on my side, which are all patched up, and so we are ready to continue with our regularly scheduled programming.
And now for a special news report, brought to you by Drop the Mic.
Yeah, so apparently Paramount Plus has canceled the Workaholics movie.
No.
Literally like weeks before it was supposed to start production.
Uh-huh.
I guess they were all like on a call, and Paramount and all those bigwigs were just like, yeah, we're not doing this. I think it was 5 weeks away from production starting.
Any idea why?
I haven't read anything on why, but it must just be cuts or something, because it's wild for them to get that far in the process, for them just to be like a month before, like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. And it's kind of a bummer, because I'm a big Workaholics fan. So it would have been kind of cool to see that those dudes in that movie type setting and see what they could pull off.
Yeah, I've always been a big Workaholics guy. And, I mean, they did something for Netflix. They're not necessarily their characters, but it is the three of them. So
yeah.
I feel like they proved that they can pull off like a movie premise. You know what I'm saying?
Moving on, some crazy news that I'm sure we've all heard. Tim Miller of Deadpool fame has taken over the directing duties for the reshoots for the Borderlands movie from Eli Roth. I think a lot of people in the beginning were kind of all the fanboys were saying that he was kind of kicked off the production and everything, but that is not the case. Our man Eli Roth stepped away to start production on Thanksgiving, the horror film based on a mock trailer Roth made for Tarantino and Rodriguez's Grindhouse. I know you fucking stoked for it.
Yes, of course.
And we're glad we're getting him, back behind the camera for a horror movie. So yeah, dude, I can't fucking wait. Insane. And the premise is fucking hilarious. So I hope it's also funny.
I'm just stoked that like Grindhouse is because it's a very divisive film for both Rodriguez and Tarantino. It didn't do much. It didn't make much money, which is probably why a lot of these, I feel like the mock trailer movies would have been made a bit faster had it had a bigger splash. Of course, we've gotten the Machete Kills, Hobo with a Shotgun, like a few. There's a handful of these trailers that have been made, and I think Thanksgiving has always been one that everybody wanted to see, despite that it's ridiculous.
So Megan opened last weekend. It made a whopping $30 million its opening weekend. It's the first release in over a decade to open above 30 million in the first week of January, which is crazy. It's also the largest debut for an original film since Jordan Peele's Nope in July, which is also crazy. And then to add on to that, it has made a whopping $98 million worldwide. And shout out fucking James Wan and Blumhouse for letting movies like this, bringing these kind of movies to the bigger masses, because those fools do a lot for the genre. I think last week, in a little bit of sadder news, cinematographer Owen Roizman passed away. You don't recognize his name. You will recognize his work by being the cinematographer on The French Connection, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original, obviously, and The Fucking Exorcist. So, R.I.P. to one of the best.
Yeah, sad news there. He's going to be missed.
And that's all I got for my news. What do you got for us this week?
Nice, man. I know you left a big thing out, and that was probably intentional.
I did.
I appreciate that. So first up, I'll pick up where you left off. The official Scream 6 full-length trailer has dropped, and it looks fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, we strongly advise checking it out right now. Some reveals and very violent and unhinged Ghostface, who claims there's never been someone like him yet. Or like them, I should say, like them yet. Has piqued our interest in where the film aims to take the franchise from this point on. Thoughts on this new trailer?
Oh, man. I think I watched that trailer fucking like 5 or 6 times the day it came out. Yeah, dude, it looks good. It looks really, really good. I think you've talked about it before on the show, but one of the best things about that franchise is that it likes to throw you for a loop, and they do that with the trailers, and they might be doing that with the trailers this time around. Hopefully they're not, but I mean, they're relying heavily on that stuff from the past showing up. I don't want to say anything or spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen the trailer or anything, but yeah, dude, I'm fucking stoked on it.
Nice. I had a big question for you, and I was throwing it around in my head before I got you on the show, so I'm going to throw it out right now. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of people upset over Ghostface using there's a certain convenience store scene that's obviously it's a big part of this trailer where Ghostface uses a 12-gauge shotgun, or he takes it from somebody. And I guess the rules in the franchise is there's usually no guns used until Ghostface is revealed. But my argument is like we've gotten so many movies with the formula, and it works. It's proven it works. But at a certain point, you have to shake things up, especially with new directors, new art direction. They're in New York, like every killer has got to have like something different about them. So I'm kind of confused where people are like, the Ghostface wouldn't do that. But the whole premise, you just said it, is that Ghostface is always someone different, or a pair of people, what have you, with a different identity,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of bizarre to me that people are trying to pick at that, and it's cool, man. Like in the trailer, the way that convenience store scene is set up, it fucking works, and it's got me real excited for, like, we don't know what they have in store,
Exactly, dude. And it's what we always talk about, dude. Is just, people are just, they want something new, and then when that old thing gets done new, they don't like it, and they want it to go back to the old. I like you said, dude. That scene is fucking awesome. The way whoever is behind that mask, the way they pull that gun out is fucking dope. And it's time to change things up. And we don't even know. Like I said, we don't even know. They could be throwing this for just for the fuck of it, because they know every second of that trailer is going to be dissected. That might not even show up in the trailer. They've done that before.
Where it was something shot just for the for the trailer,
and how secretive they are, and how many, supposedly, like on the last one, how many different things they shot and things like that. Like, even if it does show up in the film, I'm all for it. Like, it's I think they're going in the right direction with it. Change is needed sometimes, folks.
Wednesday season 2 has officially been greenlit by Netflix, and we couldn't be more stoked on that.
Yes, although I still haven't finished the first season.
Come on, man. You got to get with it, bro.
I know, dude. I know. There's so much shit I got to get. That last fucking week of fucking December, dude, I was trying to cram in so much shit that I hadn't watched. But yes, that's definitely on my list to finish. But the episodes that I have watched is, she's awesome. The show's awesome in it, and she was much deserving of that Golden Globe nomination.
All right, moving into some more of horror theme news. Mia Goth opened up to Variety recently, stating that she thinks the upcoming Maxine project will be the most powerful film in the new X trilogy. The first two films, both having been released in 2022. You can also watch out for Miss Mia Goth in the upcoming Infinity Pool film set to drop at the end of January.
Yeah, it's going to be rad. But yeah, dude, I'm stoked for that. And it's crazy that she would say that about Maxine, given how fucking, how badass X and Pearl was, and how much she was fucking like a revelation in Pearl. So yeah, dude, I'm stoked for that. Hopefully that they can crank that out as fast as they can, and we don't have to wait that much more longer.
What's going to be interesting is that, so you got Pearl is an obvious period piece. Well, they both are, but then X is kind of like a 70s throwback to slasher. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with the 80s, if they're going to kick up the carnage even more, because it's based in the 80s and it's obviously following the events of X, which is in the late 70s, I believe, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like they have something very special to end that trilogy that seems like it just started, and now it's going to be closing soon. Wild.
It's wild. Yeah, dude. Going back to Infinity, those trailers, I feel like I'm gonna need a fucking bath after I watch that fucking film, dude.
Yeah.
It looks like it's gonna be fucking gnarly.
Remember what I told you when they dropped that? They dropped the trailer, and I was all, dude, it's gonna be so disgusting watching that, especially having seen and loving Possessor. Possessor's fucking insane. Brendan Cronenberg, man, what a force to be reckoned with. I can't wait to watch that in the theater. Closing out news for myself, the new Shudder film Skinamarink has cleared $1 million despite only being shown in a few theaters and showtimes across America. A new lo-fi horror film, which is being very, very, I feel like it's critically acclaimed by a lot, right?
Yeah, that's all I've been reading, is that everyone kind of loves it, and it's crazy too. You mentioned that last week off air about how it only has like a couple showings a day at theaters, and we went to the movies yesterday, and it had legitimately one showing at our local theater, like at 6:30 or something like that. So for it to make that much money in the amount of theaters it's in is wild. And I believe they're expanding it this weekend too.
Very nice. Seems like we got another Terrifier on our hands.
Yes, go out and support that film.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
I have a couple of different ones as usual. First off, we watched for the very first time. Sandy watched Blast from the Past yesterday, and starring Brendan Fraser and Alicia Silverstone, which will always be the '90s, one of my biggest '90s crushes. She's fucking amazing in that. But yeah, Blast from the Past. I think it's on. Where did we see it? Max, I think HBO Max. But yeah, fucking stellar. Brendan Fraser, fucking. Hopefully he gets all his awards this year. Yeah, super good. Always one of those movies that you could just fucking throw on and just, no pun intended, have a blast with. And then obviously I talked about it earlier, but I went to go see Megan yesterday. I loved it. It did what it was supposed to do. Doesn't take itself seriously. Funny. Kind of, I think it definitely pushes that PG-13 rating. There's a couple of kills in it, and one of them is kind of super gnarly and something I have never seen in a movie. But yeah, go check that out too, Megan. And then my last rec is going to be some shameless self-promotion on the show. But if you haven't listened to the end of the year episode with our man Wes and Chris, please go and listen to that shit. It's so fucking damn good. It's like 2 hours of these fools just chopping it up about movies, and Chris is fucking immaculate when it comes to information. Yeah, go fucking finish this episode or pause this episode and go and listen to that year-end episode because it's great.
Thank you, sir. I'm always stoked to hear feedback like that. Thank you.
And then yeah, that's all I got for my Rex this week. What do you got for us?
Wow, again, I can't believe you missed this. The first episode of Last of Us, it dropped, was last Sunday. Everything you could want from the show, all the detractors, they just got shut the fuck down by this. It's so much fun. It's so dark. It leaves you feeling melancholy, just the way that the game intended. So hats off to HBO with pulling off what seems to be, or it's going to be, one of the greatest shows that they've released as far as their original content. Pedro Pascal, amazing.
I was being a gentleman, Wes, and letting you have that one, just like I let you have the screen.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude, it's, god damn it. And that's what you said too about this might go down as one of the greatest things they've done. It's saying a lot because they've done some of the greatest things for TV ever.
Sopranos.
Yeah, man. Yeah, fucking everything. Yeah, man. This is. I feel like. Yeah, the dread of having to go through this again is going to be tough, but I cannot fucking wait for the rest of it because it's stellar. And yeah, just from that first episode, dude, Pedro is just, god damn it, dude. He's so fucking good in it. I can't wait for next award season, dude, because that guy's going to clean up big time. All of them are going to clean up. This whole show is going to clean house. But yeah, check that out if you haven't. And if you haven't, we'll go and play the fucking game because one of the greatest of all time.
I also wanted to say shout out to Pascal's a really small detail that they got right was Pascal doing the Joel accent, which is it totally fits. It's completely natural. And then, of course, Bella Ramsey as Ellie. I was really, really hesitant when I saw who they cast, and I wasn't sure if she was going to match, the fierceness of Ellie in the video game, and Bella came through, and she's fucking this potty mouth little chucklehead, that you can't help but love. And I'm excited to see where Joel and Ellie's their bond grow over this season and beyond. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And just like like you said, and you touched on it, a little bit of a warning. It's gonna be a fucking tough show to finish.
Yes,
just because of just the dread of what's happening, and especially if the people who have played the game, it's like fucking shit. And both Wes and I have both played it, and I know we talked about it off air, but I was kind of in tears already, and I knew what was fucking gonna happen and what was happening. So yeah, just be ready to have your heart ripped out.
And my next one is a show that's been on. It's currently on its third season. I think you can stream it with the new MGM Plus app streaming service, or through Hulu as well. It's Godfather of Harlem, starring Forrest Whitaker.
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Wes. I didn't even know MGM had a fucking streaming service.
I think it's a brand new thing that they launched recently, because this show was actually an Epix original. For its first two seasons. I guess MGM picked it up, or something happened where they merged something. But so when I saw, I was unaware of this show, probably because of where it was streaming. And when I saw a little promo cut for the MGM Plus, I was like, let me look into this. So then I'm going back, and I've recently, I think I'm on episode 5 or 6 of the first season, and man, it is fucking incredible. If you like the gangster kind of subgenre, and you're a fan of Forrest Whitaker, which I've always been for pretty much my entire life, Ghost Dog, Panic Room, what have you, he's always fucking great. And to see him be this ferocious, it's pretty much like in the vein of American Gangster. Anybody out there who loved American Gangster with Denzel and Russell Crowe, although it's a different time period, I think slightly, you're going to enjoy this. And it being in a show format, it just expands so much into this universe. You got Malcolm X and all these real figures interversing in this universe, and it's a great magnetic show, and it's definitely binge worthy, very addicting. So check it out. It's called Godfather of Harlem.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
Are you ready to get into your main focus, even though you might be mad at me tonight?
Oh, no. This is where you guys might listen into our first official fight. Let's get into it.
Okay, so this week we're talking about Chronicle. It's rated PG-13. It's from 2012. It's a sci-fi thriller. It runs at 1 hour and 24 minutes, and it's got an 85 on Rotten. It's written by Max Landis. Directed by Josh Trank, starring Dane DeHaan as Andrew, Michael B. Jordan as Steve, and Alex Russell as Matt. The film takes place in Seattle and spins the story of 3 high school senior friends who stumble upon a crystal hidden in a cave. After coming in contact with the giant crystal, the 3 realize that they have adopted powers that allow them to fly and manipulate objects to their benefit. Chronicle was first conceived by its director Josh Trank while in high school. In 2010, Trank approached screenwriter Max Landis to help with writing duties. However, Landis wrote and pitched the script in 3 weeks, changing aspects of the original script without consulting Josh Trank in the process. This would no doubt strain the two's working relationship, with Max Landis being banned from the production set. Released in the U.S. on February 3rd, 2012, the film was a huge success, grossing over $126 million against its minimalist $15 million budget. Overall, Chronicle does something different with the found footage subgenre by creating a grounded, somewhat superhero-esque universe. Although the film is sufficient in entertaining us, it does lack some character development for most of the film's secondary cast, and with the exception of Andrew, the leads are given very little to showcase, given the film's very short runtime. I personally would have liked to see a rated R version with a bit more exploration, with the film's final act being impressive but feeling a bit rushed in its overall resolution. The art direction is great, and the reasoning behind everything being constantly documented on video works to the film's advantage. Chronicle is not a perfect movie by any means, but it does offer up a pretty decent villain origin story that both feels authentic and hauntingly relatable. 2.5 teeth out of 5. Streaming now via Hulu. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
All right, my man. Please, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this film and why you decided to pick it as a main focus for the week.
Yeah, dude. So I think I'm obviously we're like on the different spectrum of liking this movie. I can see why, you have your problems with the film, and I can see why a lot of people have the problems with this film. But I just think it's one of those movies that I don't fucking. It's not one of the greatest of all time, but I like it a lot. I like you said, the art direction. It just right off the bat when I saw that first trailer, it caught me, and I think it's other than it kind of feeling a little bit rushed towards the end. I think it does its job, and as a superhero movie, it's it's done completely different than anything else superhero-y. And I know 2012 was a big one because Avengers came out in that year. So this one kind of for superheroes, not a lot of people think of this as being a big superhero movie, but I definitely feel like it's should be up there, even though it does have its flaws. Yeah. And I think Josh Trank did a good job. I know Fox kind of gave him a shit ton of money after this and said, do what you want, with Fantastic Four, and he kind of shit the bed on that one. And I know Max Landis is a fucking piece of shit, and I'm glad Trank kind of, kicked him to the curb for multiple reasons. But yeah, dude, I think altogether, I just enjoy the flick. Like I said, I know it has its flaws, but at the end of the day, it's something I cannot deny that I like.
That's all right. I think that's what makes this show. I wanted to be honest in my write-up because I thought it would be a disservice to you to just kind of run along with, yeah, I like this movie. And it's not that I hate this movie, because I don't. I think it has its strengths and its weaknesses, and I applaud them for going the found footage route, because really it hadn't been done in this capacity before. And I think for the extremely low budget, the effects and everything are not too bad. Everything looks pretty cool. Even the flying, like, there's been a lot of detractors about the flying, that people wouldn't fly like that and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but first of all, it's a movie. And have you guys seen Hancock? Has anyone seen Nobody remembers Hancock, how Will Smith is flying? It's very similar. So, relax, everybody out there, about that. But, I think Dane's character, Andrew, is very much the star, very relatable, especially to me, the way that he comes from somewhat of an abusive home. His mom's dying the entire film. Very misunderstood gentleman who is very much an introvert. And when he gets these powers, he finds like a new kind of solace in them. And tries to use it to his benefit, and he ends up what seems like the pushing point for his character, where he finally snaps, is he finally he's being intimate with a girl, and he fucks up and I guess he throws up, and then it kind of reverts back to him being this loser again, and then he's at this point, like, he's kind of totally lost it, where he just kind of goes off the deep end, and that's what I appreciate about this movie. Is, for me, it's a fascinating character study on what if these underage kids were unwillingly given these powers, and what would they do with them, which is absolutely nothing good. Because a lot of the movie is them fucking around and not really knowing how to harness it or keep it a secret, or just fucking around literally in the parking lot where they're moving somebody's car and just jeopardizing their identities. Like, it's completely believable in that fact, because these aren't adults. These are kids, essentially, still in high school. And even the tagline of the movie is "Boys will be boys," and the movie really lives up to that, where it's like, yeah, they just really, for the most part, fuck around the entire movie. and until pretty much the conclusion, there is no real good resolution, you know. Even the ending with God, what's his name? Is it Matt? Matt is Andrew's cousin, and you can see that their relationship is strained before they get the power, where Matt is trying to be there for Andrew, but then he's kind of embarrassed at the same time. So they really, like, their relationship is lacking. Michael B. Jordan Steve is like the golden boy kid of the school, where he's planning to be, you know, a politician. He's very much a smooth talker. Everybody loves him. And the bonding point for all these three unlikely friends is, you know, they go fucking around at night and they find this giant underground crystal thing, which is not explained whatsoever in the movie, but they're given these powers, and bonds them in this weird way where they feel like connected to each other. And then if you notice, like, from that point on, when they get their powers, it's interesting because they hang out with each other from that point on until shit hits the fan, where they're just closer to each other, and it's like almost like a camaraderie thing, you know. This power puts them together, and I feel there's like a lot of this feels like a precursor to what the Power Rangers reboot did in a lot of ways, with the way that they find their powers, those kids. It feels very Chronicle inspired, which is insane to think about.
Yeah, I never made that correlation.
But yeah, my overall point is, I think that the movie is given weight by Andrew. Dane DeHaan I've always been a fan of. I think that he's very underrated even to this day, and he is what keeps this movie afloat. What do you think about? Do you think he was justified in what he did at the end, or what, like, his motivations as far as kind of just turning full arch nemesis?
I think that, like, anyone put in his position with that amount of power he had, with how shitty his life was going, would think about doing the things he was doing at the end of the movie, that led up to the big finale. You'd be like lying to yourself if you're saying that, you know, your mom, someone close to you like that, is dying, and you have the opportunity to save her by doing what he did or was trying to do. So that, I think, in his thinking, was a little bit justified, but just going full blown, you know, villain, I think it just took over him, and it wasn't himself anymore. It was more the power taking over and kind of doing all the thinking.
Do you think that that's what they were trying to show? Is the other two, they had the powers too, but they weren't able to harness it as well as Andrew. And do you think it was kind of like a split thing where Andrew was a broken person, so he was able to kind of hack this power to use it to his full potential?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially from one of those opening scenes, one of those first scenes where they have their powers, and they're kind of recording themselves showing off, and he stops the punch, right?
Yeah,
and he's the only one able to
the baseball,
do it that well.
Right?
Yeah, the baseball. And he does it perfectly on that first try. So yeah, I definitely think that they were trying to show that was one of the reasons why he was stronger, is because of what he was going through.
Another thing that I see as a big influence in this would be Carrie.
Yes,
right,
definitely.
Especially with a dad being this over the top abusive fucker who just blames everything on Andrew, not realizing the kind of trauma that he's putting his kid through, and he has to go home to that, and then he goes to school, and then he's like bullied for being different. It's just like, yeah. I think overall, I just, like I said in my write-up, I would have just liked some more character growth and little things, and I was really disappointed rewatching this because I hadn't seen it in a few years. The way that Steve goes out, especially Michael B. Jordan, how big of a star he is now, and he had done a few small things before this, but this was really kind of like him snatching up his first lead role, which was right before Fruitvale Station, correct?
Yeah.
The way that he goes out, or the way his kill scene is just very underwhelming for me, especially because of how, like, I feel like they made him out to be a big character, and then he's just suddenly gone, and then we see him buried, and there's no I see, like, from a writing standpoint, where that would be the tipping point, for Matt's character realizing that something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have just liked to see some kind of bigger altercation or fight, that would justify Steve going out, because him just being suddenly struck by lightning, and it's pretty much off screen, probably because of their, substantially lower, budget.
Mm-hmm.
I just would have liked to see some more exploration, of that.
Yeah. I would have, what I would have been happy with if it was reversed and Matt's character kind of went out like that. I think it would have been better for the story as well, than being related.
Yes.
And for Michael B. Jordan's character, Steve, to kind of get that last fight with him. I think that would have been more satisfying.
Yeah. I completely agree. Did you read in your research for this? I guess in the original spec script, Trank had wanted Steve he was going to be killed by being hit by a plane. And then I think it was Landis's idea, or he switched it to the lightning thing.
Mm.
Do you think that would have been changed anything or made it better?
I can see why, obviously for the sake of, story and plot, why Landis changed it like that. I think if he would have been hit by the plane, it would have just been kind of like, shit, it was an accident. It really was an accident. They were fucking around, flying around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can definitely see why, they flipped it like that. And like I said, and you said too, like, it does, his death just feels fucking like it's just super short and just kind of for nothing. And I know, like, it's not for nothing, but it just kind of one of those on-screen deaths that you're like, fuck, what? And then it cuts and it's his funeral. And like, shit, he did really die.
Yeah.
And I totally, like I said, I totally, I can see, like, the points you made in your write-up and you're making now, and why, not that you don't enjoy it, you just don't it's not one of your favorites, or you don't like it as much as I do. I can totally see why someone like that, or you would feel like that, because it does have things that are a little iffy about it.
Especially coming out against the same year as the Avengers, this made a shit ton of money. A lot of money.
Yeah. And it's wild that I know there's talks of making a second one, and even now I think there's still talks about making a second one, but it's wild they didn't even attempt to make it. I know Landis and Trank had a falling out, and Trank doesn't like Landis, rightfully so.
So what I read, diving deeper into the sequel, is that they had greenlit a sequel, and that Josh Trank, he never envisioned a sequel, and that it was in his words, would have been a nightmare. He said, first of all, I would never agree to do a sequel, and if someone else does a sequel, it's going to be a piece of shit. But adding on to that, I also read, and this is like recent news too, from maybe last year, supposedly Chronicle 2 is happening, and it's going to take place 10 years after the events of this one, this time with a group of college graduate women are going to somehow find this crystal and inhabit these powers. So of course it's going to be from the perspective of women, and I feel like another thing about this movie is that the women that are in the original Chronicle really have no purpose or much to do. Even the love interest of Matt, she's a bloggist, and so she's constantly blogging, and that's how they kind of justify her being around. But there's literally nothing happens with her character. And even at the end, when she's like one of the potential victims that Andrew goes after, she gets saved, and then Matt literally dips out and they do not close that subplot whatsoever. He just goes to Tibet and kind of has this memorial for Andrew, and then they're like, yeah, roll the fucking credits. So going back to my point, I think I feel like there are going to be a lot of female Ghostbuster incel fuckers are going to be like, Chronicle with women, what? Like, no. But no, I think it'd be pretty cool to explore and maybe do something different with this if they are really going to do it.
Yeah. No, I hope they do something different with it, and with the, right the wrongs of this one. It would also be cool to maybe Alex to kind of show up.
Yeah.
See what he's been doing the last 10 years. But yeah, no, I think I read that too, and it was kind of stoked. I think that's awesome. Like you said, dude, there's going to be the amount of fucking males fucking hating on that shit is going to be insane.
But I mean, honestly, that's like the most logical step to go if you are going to further, let's see how, especially that they're not going to be teenage women, they'll be the adults, which brings, a lot more to explore in that way, where they're going to be more smart about it. How are they going to hide it? What are they going to use it for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely not just do dumb shit like fly in the sky and throw baseballs at each other.
Yeah. Or do
some good with it.
A talent shows. Use it as magic. I'm not gonna lie. Andrew pulling out that fool's teeth in the hallway of the school was pretty rad.
I think everyone has been in that position where getting bullied, or people that have been like that, or just kind of outcasts, and people are talking shit like that dude was. I think everyone has been in that position, wanting to do something like that.
And then him videotaping himself in the stall, where he's all like with the teeth, and he's all, yeah, you see this? This is a clean grab, I did it correctly, and these not so much, you see how they're chipped. And covered in blood, and he's all, ugh. Let me ask you this: what is your personal rating of this out of 5?
Out of 5, I'd give it a 3.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's like I said. I think one of the main reasons why I picked it is because it's just one of those films that a lot of people don't talk about. At least I don't hear a lot of people talking about. I'm sure now that we're putting it out in the fucking universe, someone's gonna drop a shirt or fucking something like that. And I think I knew going in that it was kind of like, not like so decisive, whereas people, are like fucking always fighting about this movie. But I knew that I obviously didn't know that you weren't the biggest fan of it, but I just thought it would be something different to talk about, something that not a lot of people talk about. And then also too, like, I just find it fucking incredibly fascinating that after this, Josh Trank was like supposed to be the next big thing. Like, this shit didn't stink, and I could see why people thought that. And like I said in the beginning, they gave him fucking Fantastic Four, and it, like, that was one of the most hated comic book movies of all time. And just with all, like, everything happening while it was being made, and pre-production and post-production is fucking wild.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Fantastic Four really put a kind of a stall on this guy's career, because I think it's safe to say Chronicle is probably the best thing that he's put out. He has what, maybe, I want to say like 3 or 4 projects altogether that he's done only.
I want to say it's, I think what's that? Didn't he do like a fucking Capone movie or something like that?
Yeah, with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, it's kind of wild where his career went after Fantastic Four. And I will say this, like, Fantastic Four, it obviously wasn't the greatest, but fucking Michael B. Jordan fucking rocks at everything, and he was fucking awesome in that.
I don't even remember that movie to give you my.
And I'll go one further in saying that the cast itself is pretty solid. Like, they did what they absolutely fucking possibly could with that fucking script.
What do you think about Adam Driver being looked at as the lead for the next Fantastic Four?
Dude, you know what? For all you guys listening, I don't know if you know this, but this dude loves him some Ryan Gosling, and he absolutely loves himself some Adam Driver.
I do. I have no shame. No shame in my game.
I think it'd be cool. I think he'd do a good job. I mean, he obviously has the acting chops to pull it off. I think if they were to, dude, that's a humongous role. Like, I would believe that would be something that he would be signed on to for a while. And I know Marvel doesn't do Disney; they don't do those long contracts anymore. But you would assume that he would be like a huge piece in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for at least a decade.
So was the John Krasinski thing just a one-off? They were never considering him?
I from what I hear, that he might come back, because he was a variant of him, so he might come back. And I've also heard that they're talking to him about directing that. And that's been all the big rumors with Fantastic Four, is that they want him to direct it, or want him to direct a Marvel movie. I think that was just a fan service, honestly. Everyone wanted him to be it, and he fucking showed up and was him. I want to see what else Josh Trank has in the tank left. If he has anything left in the tank.
Oh, another thing I wanted to say, that I think that what does, or a good aspect of this film is them being smart and having Andrew levitating his camera. It's a good way to explain these kind of unique angles and stuff that they do, and they show throughout the movie, and it helps not limit themselves as far as having somebody just shooting handheld the entire time, the way that you see in something like Blair Witch Project, where it's the same cinematography over and over and over again. But Chronicle, with that little tiny detail there, where he's able to levitate the camera and manipulate it and however he wants throughout the film, it really gives them an edge as to still bringing us some really cool and unique kind of cinematography throughout this, despite it being found footage. So I can really appreciate that.
I really like that little touch of him.
And that fight out in the street when he kind of he decides, like, you know, he knows his mother's dying, he needs the payment for the medicine, is why he starts going out and kind of doing this vigilante stuff. So then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna rob these fucking these thugs that hang out outside my pad all the time or whatever. So he dresses up in his old man's old firefighter uniform, uses a gas mask to kind of subtly hide his identity, and just fucks all these guys up. Arguably, maybe one of the most well-staged pieces in this entire film. Besides the stuff on the space, was the Space Needle, right, in Seattle?
Yeah.
That's pretty rad. And how, of course, Andrew is impaled by the what's it called? What is that thing? The
Is it a trident from a statue?
Yeah, trident. What do you think? Matt is doing? Is he just on the run, like Jumper style, where he's a fugitive?
I'd like to think. I don't know why you would mention Jumper, but moving forward.
Buzzing.
I think I get like the sad Hulk vibe music, sad Hulk show music from that. Just he's kind of just in hiding, wandering around, wandering the planet, just trying to do as much good as he possibly can. And that's why I think the second one would be kind of cool for them to kind of touch on where he's been.
What do you think the government would do if they were able to get their hands on him? Would they operate on him or use them as a military grade weapon or something? Or
oh, for sure, that's what they would do. I think they would try to use them as I think they would try to capture them or him and try to kill him and dissect them and see what they can learn from them. But if they couldn't, I'm pretty sure they would he'd be like a
RoboCop,
super soldier assassin.
Like we said at the top of the show, if you somehow haven't seen this film or if we've intrigued your interest, you can check it out right now on Hulu.
Oh, you know what? Before we go off air, happy birthday, fucking the big homie Chanel.
That's right. It's her birthday today, correct?
It is. I'll definitely tell her to listen, as I always do, especially today. But yeah, happy birthday, Chanel.
Happy
From all
birthday.
of us here.
Yes. I actually messaged her personally earlier and said, and gave her an apology for not being able to show up because I wasn't feeling well. And
he shouldn't have apologized to her. He should have apologized to me. Everybody.
Yes, yeah, because I left you alone. For everybody out there who's stumbling upon this podcast, we are the Drop the Mic podcast, and you can find us on all major podcast platforms, including Luminary, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, Sods, YouTube. So check us out. Give us a 5-star rating, a little nice review if you have a couple extra seconds. We always appreciate that. And yeah, we release new content every single week. So thank you everybody out there for listening. As per usual, we do all of this for you. So thank you endlessly. And thank you, Ryan, for always making time for the show and hopping on and hanging out with me. I appreciate it, bud.
Oh yeah, you're always welcome. And yeah, thanks for all you guys listening. Thank you, Wes, for doing what you do with the show and getting us back on track. He was a little bit frustrated there.
I was. But I figured everything out, and we are back to normal, so I'm very excited. No more stress. And next week, we welcome back Chris Pollock back to the show, as we said. Can't wait for that, and hopefully you guys are all tuned back in.
You fucking better tune back in.
All right. So, with that, this is the Swan and Ryan Jimenez signing off, saying good fight and good night.
Sloppy. I've been doing a lot of reading, like online about like just like evolution and natural selection, and how there's this thing, right? It is called the apex predator, right? And basically what this is the strongest animal in the ecosystem, right? And as human beings, we're considered the apex predator, but only because like smaller animals can't feed on us because of weapons and stuff, right? The lion does not feel guilty when it kills a gazelle, right? You do not feel guilty when you squash a fly. And I think that means something. I just think that really means something.